Welcome back to Boys with Books in Bed.
I'm gonna go lift weights after this. Okie dokie. Welcome back to the final installment of Onion is a Terrible Writer and an Even Worse Person. This version is going to be madder than the first one. I guess pun intended because of her username. So let's recap where we were. In the first half of the book, we learned that Onion loves taking pictures of her asshole. The internet, at least the left side of the internet, adores that she loves taking pictures of her asshole. Malcolm, being the Marxist-Leninist, messages her that he wants to smell her. He comes over. Salvia, attempts to sexually assault him or force or coerce him into sex. There's a roommate. The roommate can't escape the apartment that they live in, and that's kind of where we were left it. Malcolm runs. Hey, kitty. Hey, kitty. Yeah, filming a video here. Thanks, Sam. Malcolm runs out of the house because he, in fact, doesn't want to hook up with her, and he couldn't get hard because she kept farting. We learned so many ways to describe a butthole, and we learned that Salvia is broke and is starving her ferret to death because she can. So where we pick up in chapter 8, Malcolm has gone off the internet. He's been bullied off the internet for being a leftist, a communist, if you will, who didn't fuck the grossest human to ever live. And people have decided to brand that as like anti-praxis done by a fake feminist. So where we pick up, Salvia is sort of just basking in her post-Malcolm glow. Malcolm then returns, and he returns in a big way. Malcolm decides that he is going to shame Salvia the way that she shamed him. He comes back out of nowhere with one simple tweet. Salvia Lele has a fart fetish, and the internet loses their goddamn minds about this. The internet loses their minds about this, and they go absolutely overboard. In chapter 9, we see that they're gone as far as they're writing parody songs. People are producing merch that say gas is praxis. Salvia quickly unravels as she watches her grip of Left Book unravel. They turn on her almost immediately, and not a single person even takes her side. There are a few, I guess you'd call them simps or diehards. If we were describing the real world person who this book is anger written about, I think the term would be goon squad. But there are a few people like that are you just hate her because she's a strong, independent woman, and that. So after Salvia gets canceled, Malcolm has returned triumphantly to the internet. Chapters 9 through 12 are kind of what I see it as is this is really everything Onion wanted to write, but if she just wrote these 3 to 4 chapters, people would see her as the raving, unstable person that she truly is, and so she concocted this dumb plot around it so she could get these chapters out. These are 9 through 12 are basically her raving revenge fantasy on the real world people, what she wishes that she could do, which is Salvia gets utterly destroyed. She can't pay her bills. The entire world is like humiliating her. Um, she so can't pay her bills that she, under a different name, has to sell her like bespoke homemade sex toys on Craigslist, um, and she isn't getting any hits. And then what happens is like somebody finds her sex toy post, and like that gets recycled on Reddit and everywhere, and everyone's clowning on that. That like, oh, look at this like big important leftist figure is really just like a trash human that is now trying to trick people into buying her used sex toys. Um, this, of course, gets doubled down on because of the sharing of the sex toy thing. Salvia's mother finds out, and she calls and is like, I didn't raise you to be like this weird sex toy selling, like, shameless pile of trash. Uh, so you can see, like, Onion is stacking the layers of how she wishes she could dismantle the people that she dislikes. She can't because this isn't really a reality that she lives in, and the people that she wants to dismantle aren't Salvia. They're like normal people who have families and loved ones, and people that care about them and don't do things like Salvia does. Um, so this sort of all comes to a head. She gets a hit on her sex toy ad. A guy says he wants to buy them and to meet up at a coffee shop. Um, the coffee shop is called Soylent Bean, which I think this is the second time it's mentioned. Um, no, sorry, this is the first time it mentioned. Malcolm goes to it later. Uh, but I think she thought it was clever, so she was like, "This is the only coffee shop in town. Everyone goes here when I need somebody to go to a coffee shop." So they go to Soylent Bean. She meets up with him. The guy, she's is like, "Hello," like she's got her like a duffel bag of sex toys, um, and the guy starts like ASL signing at her, and she's like, "Oh crap." Uh, at some point in time, I lied about knowing sign language. So then she panics and just like starts to sign to the guy, but she doesn't know what she's doing. She's just like flailing in front of her face before she realizes that the guy has filmed it and already put it on Twitter. And she gets like slammed all over again, and people are laughing at her. That's to me, the whole thing is like shoehorned in. Like the she lied about ASL. It was like we need just like one more character assassination at the end of this like several chapter long, like lip licky, like almost sexual fantasy. It feels like that like Onion is pouring into like, oh, like everything she has into what she wishes she could do to people. Um, and then I will end this by saying that this is the last time that Salvi is in the book. Salvi is, by all intents and purposes, the main character of the story. She's now done. There is no um, resolution to her story. She is a bad person. Um, she gets hammered by the internet and loses everything. And then that's it. Because that's what Onion wishes would happen to people that she actually doesn't like. Again, this is like the crux of like everything she wants to talk about. But now she is she's ended the story, the main story, and then the book goes on for like 3 or 4 more chapters when Salvia is out of it. So now that that's done and Salvia is dead and buried or homeless or whatever Onion like excitedly is picturing in her own little weird troll brain, now we get we we get introduced to a character, like soft introduced, and then in chapter 14 we're officially introduced, sort of still, to a new character named Strawberry. She is uh, a girl that has pink in her hair, and that's really the character development we're getting. Now, if you're asking yourself, Colin, it's insane to vague post a new character in the final uh, 2 out of 4 chapters. Like, that's a dumb thing to do and a sign of bad writing. I would agree with you. It is dumb. And it's handled poorly because, again, now that Salvia has gotten hers, Onion doesn't even have a semblance of where to go with the story. So, because time is a flat circle and my life is an endless nightmare, Malcolm gets re-canceled uh, because Strawberry leaks something to her girly pop chat, and then she thought it would be safe, but it wasn't. The girly pop chat leaks it, and Malcolm, I'm falling apart here. Malcolm, it turns out he can't stop thinking about Salvia's smell. Um, it's like consuming his life, and he apparently told this Strawberry person this in confidence, and then Strawberry was like, "Oh, I have to tell the girls," and then because leftist girls are evil, backstabbing harlots, they immediately leaked it to the internet. So Malcolm was sort of like on this regained popularity. The entire internet is like a coach at the end of the big sports game, carrying him like across the quarter of the field. We love Malcolm again, but then he gets recanceled because it turns out that Malcolm also has a smell kink, um, and is like when we're reintroduced to Malcolm after Salvia's downfall, is he's like awoken in like a sweaty hungover stupor. He's apparently so incapable of like getting the smell of her farts out of his head that uh, he's like drinking himself to sleep at night, which is like, okay, that's I guess a new thing that's gonna happen. And so he gets recanceled. People are uh, like, oh, you're a liar. Oh, and don't get me wrong, they're not back on Salvia's side now. She's dead. Uh, but now Malcolm is getting recanceled, and this is where the book really starts to spiral. We enter chapter 14, getting officially introduced to Strawberry. This is where we find out that she has pink in her hair, and she is in an all-girls group chat. That is the extent of her. Um, and what happens now is the book sort of just spirals out of control, much like Onion is in real life. Because again, she doesn't have an ending, and the plot is horrendous. So now Malcolm goes on this like he like falls apart, and he snaps, and he goes on this like long. He's just ranting on Twitter, like sort of the way that like Elon Musk or like Trump or uh, any of the worst people online. He's like tweeting every like 8 seconds, and if you were worried that the last several chapters of this book weren't written mostly in Malcolm and Strawberry tweets, I'm happy here to say that they are. So yes, we're talking about like 2 to 3 sentence paragraphs broken up by lengths of time and pages dedicated to just fake tweets. Um, Malcolm loses his mind and goes on a warpath to declare that like Stink is um, the last bastion of like revolutionary freedom. He starts to spin it as a way that like consumerism and capitalism and big pharma are trying to control you by recommending hygiene. I hate capitalism, but never once have my critiques been I hate that society treats me better when I smell nice. Uh, that's just a thing that it hasn't ever really crossed my mind. Maybe it's because if this was 2002, I'd be called a metrosexual, but like I really love cleaning and bathing and smelling good. And the people in my life seem to genuinely appreciate it too. You can make the argument that, like the war on women having body hair was started basically to sell razors, and now it's like a sexist war on women. That's all true. But like washing your asshole, I, maybe with the exception of like Anne Prims and other anarchists sects, I don't know anybody who's arguing against like hygiene. Um, and so, if anything, the anti-vaccine, anti-hygiene crowd is like staunchly in the right wing of people who like don't bathe anymore and like use mud as deodorant and like only eat raw meat because like yeah, the people that died at 21 and lived in caves, they had it figured out. Uh, so I digress. So Malcolm is ranting about how our stink, and so I hate to disappoint that the last half of the book doesn't really have a lot of asshole talk and not like creative names for assholes anymore. But Onion does say the word stink upwards of 50 times. And keep in mind, this is like 40 pages that I got through. Um, so he's ranting about stink and how stink is the one thing saving us, and we need to embrace not bathing and bo and like farting on everybody because like that's how we fight back against like rigid consumerist capitalist patriarchal whatever. um, and at first everyone is like, what would really happen, everyone on left book is like, hey, you got a weird kink. It's fine if you do. Please stop. You're scaring the kids. Um, Everyone is sort of like, hey guy, stop being weird on Maine. Just disappear off the internet and we'll call it like even, right? You took down Salvia, which we're happy about, but like now you don't have to die on this cross of all crosses. But then Strawberry, who feels bad that he got outed, she did not intend to out him. She starts tweeting in support of him as well, and she's saying things like, uh, "Smell is like the last war uh, on indigenous people. Smell is like bathing is colonization," which is not true because the European colonists famously didn't bathe and died of diseases all the time, and the indigenous populations were like, that's kind of weird. You should wash yourself sometimes. And the white people said, we're not gonna, and here's our diseases. Um, so that's not a true argument. And so she starts tweeting about how like, all of it is like this dumb like, and you're not ready to have that conversation yet lingo, which is yeah, terminally online people are annoying. I don't like them, but Onion is one of them. So that's what's so comical about this is she is the type of person who would tweet stuff that would be like, "You're not ready for this, but this person is actually bad," and that's that's the thing that she's trying to fight against. When the whole book is just like describing things that have been hurled against her and her going, no, you. Um, so what happens though is because now that Strawberry, a person that we don't know their real name and we only know that they have pink in their hair, starts defending him, like it starts to gain steam and become an online movement. Um, at this part of the book, I didn't write them down because I'll be honest, after I finished reading this book, I put it down for several days, and I didn't read it all, anything. I just sort of did nothing of like practicality except for go to work because I didn't the end of this book made me so irrationally mad that I didn't really want to interact with it in any way ever again. But filming this is cathartic, so we do have that. Um, so it's gaining steam. Strawberry has helped start this revolutionary movement, and we get two references to Kropotkin because anarchists like get on board with this, and like, yeah, I know we can all for the most part agree that anarchists are like a beautiful charcuterie board of the worst takes, especially when you get away from like ancoms and start getting into like primitivists and those people that think uh, like teachers are like ACAB includes teachers and nurses and whatever else, and like don't believe that we should have like global supply chains because like hierarchy and all of that nonsense. And I think it is hilarious that uh, she sort of insults anarchists with this because until she like fully embraced Facebook Nazis, or as they like to call themselves now, the American Communist Party, uh, until she fully embraced them, she was constantly talking about how anarchists are the one true way because MLs like me are book obsessed, weird, sexless dorks who hate women, um, which is, didn't turn out to be true. So now she's a Nazi, which the anarchist turned Nazi is a rich tapestry of, you know, Trotskyists, all the way up until recently, when anarchists went to fight Russia and Ukraine, and then within days were taking pictures with Bandera banners and doing the Elon Musk Roman salute. Um, so this is like a weird thing that she's now thrown anarchists under the bus, and like the anarchists start getting on board. She references Kropotkin again, and this one I do remember because she basically just says like anarchists, but real anarchists, anarchists who have books and talk about Kropotkin, and it was like, oh yeah, that means they're, I don't know, they carry weight. Uh, I mean, like just because like I've read Capital doesn't make me inherently a good person. Me striving to be a better person makes me a better person. Anya doesn't get that because she's incapable of self critique and self growth. Um, so it becomes a revolutionary movement. Um, Strawberry then meets Malcolm at Soylent Bean the second time we see the coffee shop, and they talk for a little bit. Um, they and they kind of like they sit back and they just decide like we're gonna watch the world burn, and then the book ends. Um, yeah, so if you're wondering why this book ended on a meaningless several chapters that make no sense, aren't a satisfying conclusion, even if it was like a bad ending, it's not a satisfying conclusion. Uh, where like, how books have like the start and the rising action and the climax and the falling action and then the conclusion. Uh, Onion had a climax where, and I mean that literally, where she got off on several pages writing about destroying people, and then had to fill everything else in, and so that's what we're left with. There's no ending. Um, in fact, there's a what if ending. Chapter 16 is a what if that is a what if ending that also doesn't end as a what if. Like, because it's still like a what if is like, oh, what if this character didn't die, right? Or what if they chose to make this decision? Onion Onion's what if is like is a what if, and then oh, but it still sort of ends the same way, but Malcolm is in control, which uh, writing a what if that's not like a happier ending where everyone's lives aren't destroyed uh, is one thing, but writing it in which the guy never loses power is an interesting tell into Onion psychology. So we end with them sitting back, Strawberry and Malcolm, just like taking in the global movement they've started about stink. And then chapter 16, Malcolm comes over and he doesn't fumble with his pants and isn't a big scared baby boy. And they start making out. Here we get several more references to Salvia farting, including one that's several pages long to get out, literally and figuratively, where they're making out, and I don't know, because the writing's bad, so I don't know if he either A, starts figuring her, B, puts his dick in her, or C, goes down on her. I have no idea, but he does something to her, and then we get this way too graphic description of her body like undulating and like working out a fart. She's so horny. To which then Malcolm stops and says like, I can't do this, and gets up and leaves. And that's the better ending, because in that situation the woman is still degraded and the man gets his way and retains all of his power, which fucking bravo, Onion. This book is insane. It's what you have lost. It's what happens when you've lost the entire plot on reality, and you've made disliking somebody your entire personality and your entire reason to live, and every facet of everything boils down to this. I mean, like, Onion has a family, right? Like, I know for a fact she has had at least a partner. I don't know if she has kids or not. I don't know that because unlike Onion, I don't think about people I hate all day, and I most certainly don't stalk them the way Onion does. But like I said, the chapters 9 through 12, maybe the beginning of 13, are the entire point of the book. It's her lip licking, sexually charged hate pile that she needed to get out, or I don't know, so she could have the best orgasm of her life. But what happened was, is because that was the entire point, and she had to just create a plot around it. Like, any semblance of a creative idea has been dropped in the pursuit of lashing out. And then honestly, you smell bad or you have a fart kink or are unclean is the most juvenile, childish, useless, surface level critique you could level at somebody. None of this is cutting. None of this is biting. And especially since all of the complaints that she's making or the critiques are routinely leveled at her. She's aggressively racist. I mean, I don't know what else you would call essentially telling a man of color that you're going to sick the U.S. police on them to murder and then bury them in the middle of nowhere. She stalks several people despite, ongoing legal trouble over it. She's openly gross. I mean, the main joke is that her tongue is fucking yellow, because unlike apparently all of us left book people, Onion has never figured out that when you brush your teeth, you brush your fucking tongue at the same time, at least, or you get a tongue scraper. I don't have any idea, and it's so clear that she has no sane human being in her corner. And this is what happens when you've made your entire friend group terminally online internet Nazis, because they clearly do not have her best interest at heart. None of them care this much. They only want to annoy the people that in the real world that they want to annoy, and it just so happens that Onion is the patsy that they're going to use to do it, right? They want to dox some people, they want to stalk people, but they don't want to ever have it appear like they are, so then they sick this lady on them. And they don't care about this book. They aren't going to drive her to be a bestseller. They aren't going to ask her for more. As far as I know, no one on the fucking planet has asked her to make this book. She just made it. And she's kidding herself if she thinks that cadre of Nazis that she loves aren't all behind her, laughing at her for going to this extent. And like I said before, I'm pretty sure she has a partner. And I don't... It's going to come off mean, and I want it to be mean, and that's just the way this is going to sound. Her partner clearly doesn't love her. She doesn't have anyone, as far as I can tell, in her life that actually loves or respects her. Her partner, if her partner truly loved her, then he would have not let this happen. There's no way that a person that cares for another person would let them get to the point of publishing a literal nervous breakdown. And I don't mean that as in like men need to control their wives. No, I don't give a shit about that. What I'm talking about is purely if you love a person, you get them to seek help. You push them in a direction that will make their lives better because you want their lives to be better because you love them. Anybody who lets anybody publish this, I think secretly hates them. They have to hate them. Like, there's no way that you can feel good that this is reflecting back on your family or your relationship. It's absolutely crazy. I have nothing but contempt for this weird little internet ghoul who, like, both takes weird thirst traps for her cadre of Nazi simps online, and then at the same time has absolute disdain for any real sex worker on the planet, and thinks they're all gross, and thinks they're all like mutual aid sucking vampires who just want to destroy men. She is such a pathetic coward that this is the way that she does things, and she'll constantly post about how she's the victim and how like she's doing all of this legal stuff and all of these things, and then the stuff falls by the wayside because, like I said, she doesn't actually have any ground to stand on, and then she just sort of goes silent and thinks up the next thing. It's the same thing she did when she called all MLs like racist, sexist dorks, and then when we came out and we're like, hey, that's kind of weird, she screamed about that for like a month and a half, that she was like the victim of a hate campaign specifically from tankies or whatever. I would say that she's like equivalent to the dirt on my shoes, but like soil provides like a real world benefit and impacts the earth, and Onion is none of that. Onion has never and will never contribute to the benefit of society in one way or the other. She made this, and now she's what, going to scream because no one buys it that this is part of the hate campaign? Like, we're the reason that no one on the fucking planet wants to read 75 pages of a hate-filled fart cake weird Wattpad fan fiction that she somehow thought up. God forbid if she paid somebody to do the graphic design and didn't do it herself, and she actually like lost money on this publication. It's just mind-boggling that it has gotten this far, and it's even more mind-boggling that fucking people side with her. And we know who sides with her. They're people who think women are all whores, or, you know, whatever other weird far-right pilled, black-pilled online incel bullshit wannabe school shooter thing that she stokes in her audience, and why anybody ever who, like, I don't know, ever fucking listened to a woman, you know, isn't on her side. So at the end of the day, I don't know where this leaves us. I'm not better for it, other than like I made now 2 videos that are going to make me laugh on Watchback, and that a lot of people liked the first one, and hopefully they like this one too, even though it's a little more ranty. But again, I'm like pissed that this exists. So I think we're gonna leave it there. The world isn't getting better. The bad guys continue to seem to win. Democrats are just like openly championing the right wing without any semblance of lip service. Our 2 left-wing heroes, well, that we're told are our heroes, AOC and Bernie, are openly supporting genocide. And now we have this book. you know, it was a funny distraction for the 2 days that I read it. Um, and now I'm really excited. I'm gonna go back and read books that I love. All right, I think I'm good now. I've gotten that off my chest. This was like therapy or confession. But if I could finish with one little note for Onion, it would be this: Onion, don't come after Theory Bros, because we will actually